back 38 minutes after the hour here, about 22 minutes to the top of the hour. Guest this morning, former Commissioner TONI Stewart. As we stated, she cracked the ceiling there, the concrete ceiling. I won't call it glass. in District 2, and now she's back and vying for a seat countywide. And those are partisan races, 4 years. And some people, I hear some people say, well, 2 years is not enough time. They want to change the city stuff to 4 years. I said, well, look, you don't plan on going to Raleigh then, do you? Because it's still 2 years.
It's still 2 years? It's
still 2 years. I mean, you don't plan on going to Congress then, do you? Because it's still 2 years. I mean, back off of that. I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, but 2 years, if you're doing it right, that first year needs to be a learning curve. My first year, I sat there and I shut my mouth because I was learning. I didn't go rah-rah. Now, there were some things that I initiated that I brought to the board because you do need to bring things to the table. But it's a learning period. And then that second year, you got a little bit more traction. But as far as people say that they don't like it because they say the first year you're learning, supposedly, the second year you're campaigning, but you never stop campaigning. Right. You should always be working and campaigning.
True.
You should always be doing that. You may not call it campaigning because you still need to be out there. That is the campaign.
Also, I believe this. I believe that, for those individuals out there that choose and want to serve, nothing prevents you from going to these meetings a year or two prior and listening.
Yeah.
And nothing prevents you from going to these committee meetings because they're still open.
It's still open.
And, you don't have to walk in there brand spanking new here.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not the legislator sitting in the seat.
Right.
But you have the ability, if you have the time, but if you don't have the time to go to these meetings prior to running, how are you going to have the time to go to these meetings after you win?
Well, then you can watch them as well.
That's true, right.
And so you have access to what's going on. You may not be privy to what's happening behind the scenes. Right, where a lot of stuff does happen, but you got to bring it up to the people. You got to bring it up front. You got to bring it before the cameras.
Right.
And so, you don't have to go in there and not know nothing. You definitely, and people go in there and they say, oh, I want to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, then you need to be on the city.
Right.
Because the city does that. Or they're running for city and they say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, that's not the city. So you definitely at least need to know why you're running. And what area, what agency you need to be a part of. You definitely need to know that.
Right. When you talk about the Board of Commissioners, you all's relationship with the Board of Education and the education process is an important one because we have one system now. At one time there was city and county schools. And,
right.
And then some people talking something crazy, talking about going back to separate, I don't know, that's not even worth mentioning that.
Right.
That makes no kind of sense whatsoever. But what about that? Because while you were there, there was much discussion about building a new school, East Smith.
Yeah.
And that's still a theory.
Unfortunately, it is. It seemed like we were having some tractions, and then we got to this stopping point, with where to build it. Either do we build it on Fort Bragg, or do we keep it where it's at? Do we just find somewhere else? And so it was up to the Board of Education to come to the county to say, this is where we want it at, and that never happened.
I thought that did happen because
there was some things happening behind the scenes, some emails being sent to one person or, that type of thing. But if you're not a part of that email thread or, I need to know what's really going on. So what you say in public is what I got to bank on. You're telling me one thing, but then I see something else. And so.
But it took a vote, though.
To do what? It took a vote for what?
For it to be somewhere specific.
Yeah, we didn't get that far. We didn't get that far, during my term. We didn't get that far. It actually stopped. and would go back to it, and I was told by the superintendent at the time, we're just going to stop and go back to the drawing table. That's what he said to me. So we never had a discussion. Now, I think that what you're talking about is there was a vote for it not to be on Fort Bragg. There was not a vote for it to be at a certain location. It was just where it wasn't going to be. To my recollection, that was the only vote that happened.
Well, I mean, choosing to represent all of Cumberland County, you know, I mean, that's everybody's interest.
Right.
You know, gender, race, all that stuff, you know, it's everybody. You represent everybody, not some of the people, but everybody.
Which we all should be doing anyway.
Right,
We just have different districts.
It's not the partisan thing either, you know. You represent everybody.
Everybody.
I mean, so everybody's concerns and interests should matter.
Absolutely.
Right.
Everybody's.
Right.
Everybody's. Even those who are not contributing to our taxes, and everybody.
Right.
Every single person. And I think that that's why it's so important that you have people who identify and can relate and can communicate the needs of the people to those who are at the table.
And how do you know, how do you formulate ideas about what people want and need? How would you do that?
I don't even think you have to formulate anything. I think you just have to have a conversation, because they'll tell you what they need. They'll tell you what they want. But if you are not accessible, if you don't give people access to you or go to where they are, sometimes we expect people to come to us and we say, well, nobody showed up when we did this, or nobody showed up when we did that. Okay, then what do we do about that? Do we just sit there and say nobody's showing up, or do we go to where they are? When we were in the process of getting ideas about the Homeless Support Center, I think it's called now, when we were getting ideas from that, we didn't have a meeting and say, y'all come sit up here with us. And no, we went down, I think we went to Friendship Baptist Church, and we opened it up for people to come and give us their ideas. Tell us what you want, tell us what you need. Now, you know that for years I've had relationships with those who are unhoused, and I was executive director of the Hope Center, the women's homeless shelter, and so many things were eye-openers to me. And so having done that and having done White Flag, started that True Vine Ministries back in, I think, 2015. That allowed me to have, to give me a different vantage point when dealing with and communicating with the unhoused and unsheltered. The school system, I'm very active, and not just Grays Creek High School and Middle School, but Alger B. Wilkins, J.W. Kuhn, for those schools who
that's one of the schools that was on that list.
It was, and it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to me. Both of those schools were on that list.
Right.
Both of those
Alger B.
schools.
Wilkins and
J.W. Kuhn. Both of them were on that list. And it was sad.
And for those listening, the list we're talking about is they were recommended that they either be closed or consolidated. So
the interesting thing about that, and the challenging part for me with those two particular schools, right? Alger B. Wilkins. Some of these babies there, this is their last opportunity to even graduate, right? There are some children over there who are sleeping in a car the night before school. There's some children over there who are taking care of their family over there. You got children over there who are mothers and fathers over there. And so and I'm not saying they don't have that anywhere else, but there's a large population. The demographics of the students there are different than other schools. J.W. Kuhn. We did a couple of years ago, an organization brought shoes to the school. Just say they had 360 kids at the school. There were 340 or 50 children that needed new shoes. There are some kids that get on the bus at 6 something in the morning and don't get home till 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. So there's a different demographic of people, of children that go to these schools. So I had a real problem with those being on the list, because what happens to them? At J.W. Kuhn, people, that's not a neighborhood school. People go to that school, children go to that school that live somewhere everywhere. Got a lot of exceptional children that go to that school. You know, we got to look at what's behind this. What's behind this, and how can we accommodate these different demographic of children at this school? Again, I'm not saying they're not anywhere else, but there's a large population at those 2 schools that I know of.
Correct. I'm familiar. I understand exactly what you're saying. It's a very complex situation. I just feel like that education, though, has not really the traditional way of education.
Oh, no.
Has not followed the changes that are before us. You know, basically schools are set up along the agrarian model, where kids can work during the summer in the farms, and I actually did that kind of thing at my age, at 70. But ain't no kid, you ain't doing nothing during the summer.
No,
You ain't
it's
cutting
so
no grass.
different now. It's so different now, and you know, to the phenomenal teachers that we have, to their point, teachers, they have to do so much to just teach now, right? They can't just go in there like they used to do with us and teach. They got to work through so much. They got to work through getting to the whole child, which I am a fan of, getting to the whole child before they even able to teach. They got so many other issues. The biggest issue that we used to have when I was growing up was a young girl crossing over into womanhood. That was the biggest thing. Now they got so many other things to work with that they got to work through to even teach, and that's challenging. That's challenging, and it's just the culture. It's just, you know, times are different. Times have changed, so we can't look at it the same way that we used to look at it when we were in school. But we got to be creative and think outside of the box and see what we can do to reach these children. We have schools that don't have a PTA, and which was like so crazy to me when I first heard of it. So, you know, we got these schools like out in the Jack Britt area. They're doing so well. You know, the high school, it looks like this. It's beautiful. You know, my baby graduated from Jack Britt. But then we have other schools and who deserve just as much of attention and all of that, but the dynamics are just different. Not that you don't have those same dynamics over at Jack Britt, but you have more at some of these other schools. But we got to learn how to be creative and be able to reach the whole child and help the teachers reach the whole child. When I mentioned the PTA or PTO, that's how they get extra funds into the schools. So when you don't have that coming in, because the parents are not involved, they could be working, right? They could be doing, you know, other things that causes them not to be as engaged in the child's education. But, you know, again, it takes a whole village. That hasn't gone away.
Right. Well, I mean, being on the Board of Commissioners is just that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in front of you. Economic development, Tier 1 status, schools, clean water, clean air, clean this, clean that, and then just old regular stuff.
Just life.
You got to try to pay the employees.
Yeah.
You know, but you know,
A livable wage.
right.
Not just pay them. We, during the time I was there, we raised the county employees' salary to $17 an hour. Is that still a livable wage?
$34,000 a year is very small.
Yeah, but that's not definitely not. You know, it's still tough. It's still tight. But when we were having that conversation, you know, I was championing for our employees, because a lot of times when people want to give raises, they want to start at the top.
Well, that's what they're doing.
We went to the bottom.
Okay.
We went to the bottom. And I said, no, we can't just start here. We can't start. Let's start at the bottom because again, it was during COVID, right? And there was a lot of conversation about, like, for instance, our then county manager. They were making a point that she came in. She didn't miss any day. She didn't miss one day. But it was important for me to express that she was able to not miss a day because there was a janitor coming in cleaning her space. We can't just ignore the people that really make things happen. We need our county managers. We need our, assistant managers. We need those in position, directors. We need everybody, but we can't forget the people who even make it possible. And those are the regular folks. Those are people that are part of the working poor. We got to do better with that. We got to do better with that.
Yeah, that's no doubt about that. I mean, I guess if you got two people in a home making $35,000, that brings you up to 70. But one person trying to live off of that.
Yeah.
But we've been that way for a while.
For a long time.
1979, I was a Cumberland County deputy.
Oh, wow.
I started off as a courtroom bailiff. I was $40 removed from being able to get food stamps.
Yeah.
As a single person.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's how low. I mean, so now, 1979 is how many years ago?
Yeah.
So we still talking about this now.
Yeah, and that's an issue because, and I know people who don't go for a higher paying job because that won't sustain them. They'll lose all their other benefits. So you don't make enough to get help. Well, you don't make enough to not need help, but then you make too much to get help.
Right.
That's a problem. That's a problem. What do we do?
Right.
What do we do?
Well, those are the kind of things that you guys got to figure out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What's your vision? Should you be successful to come back to the Board of Commissioners? I'm sure you learned something while you were there.
Yeah.
Coming back, what would you be desiring to do?
Absolutely. I wouldn't even be TONI if I did not advocate for those who are homeless. What I would do is make sure that we not just break ground on a homeless shelter, but that we start building it, because we broke ground February 19, 2024. Broke ground.
I was there, I recall.
Broke ground. And now we have nothing. And I don't just mean nothing on the county level, I'm saying nothing in the county, right?
Right.
That's a problem. So what I would do going in is, one, I would be more aggressive. More aggressive. I would fight differently. I wouldn't take things for granted. I heard some things when I was very disappointed with the cease or the pause of the homeless shelter. I was very disappointed in that. And I was told who it was stopped by. And I just said, you know what? I feel like a lot of people were playing in my face. Because they, and I know it. I've been in rooms as a commissioner, as the chairwoman of the Board of Commissioners, and been in a room full of men, and they talking over me, and they, like this little girl, that type of mentality. No, sir, we won't do that. And I stopped it then, but I'm just saying, now, no. And so I think that we have to stop taking so many things for granted. I understand that, we can do things in decency and order. We can fight, but we can't be no punks. And I think that might have been a false judge of character of who I am. And so we won't be doing that. We won't be doing that. She's still saved, and she still loved people, and she still loved God, but she ain't no punk. That's probably not the politically correct thing to say. However, my fight would be different. My fight would be more aggressive. And I wouldn't take so many things for granted. No, you can't just tell me what you will do. Vote on that. Vote on that. I want to just have this backdoor conversation. Let's vote. Let's bring it to the table. We're going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have about a minute and a half left, and I give it to you. This is, guys, we have the closing remarks this morning from former Commissioner TONI Stewart, District 2. She is vying for a position to be back on the Board of Commissioners
Yes.
at large.
Well, I always tell people that you don't have to be in office to serve people. I've continued to serve people. I still serve as the regional director for the Department of Social Services Institute, where I represent 9 counties. I still serve as that. I am still appointed to the North Carolina State Health Coordinating Council, where I was appointed by Governor Cooper. I still serve as that. I am back now to being a guardian ad litem, where I am the voice for those children who are in foster care. So I'm still active. I'm still, serving the children at J.W. Kuhn and Alger B. Wilkins. I'm still doing those things. I'm still out in the community. And just a reminder, some of the things that I did while I was in office, again, advocated for our employees to get a raise. I brought in the community paramedic. I brought that to the table so that when those individuals who are dealing with mental health issues, because I'm an advocate for that as well. Those who are dealing with mental health issues, a lot of times, that people call 911, and we see that doesn't always turn out right, but they call 911 and they end up going to jail. No, that's not what they need. So I brought in community paramedics, and it didn't go like I desired it to go. Cape Fear Valley Hospital was now doing that, and but it's still not having an impact the way that I had hoped. However, they did hire the man that I learned it from. So, I don't care who gets the credit as long as it's being done right. I opened up a food pantry in Spring Lake at Spring Lake Middle School. It's called the Bronco Food Pantry because they needed some assistance over there. And so I'm still doing the work. Even though I'm not in office, even through grief, even through life, I'm still out there and I'm still doing the work. Now it's time to bring it to a bigger scale.
Okay. Well, look, enjoyed you. Best to you.
Thanks, Troy.
Thanks for being behind the mic with us on this Thursday.
Absolutely. Thank you
Wrap
for
up
having
hard
me.
on Sunday and Monday. I know you love it being down in the teens, don't you?
I don't like it being that cold. Let me say this. For those of you that need groceries, we have moved our serve day up to today at True Vine Ministries, 5315 Morganton Road. If you need any groceries, you want to get some groceries for Christmas, come through, stay in your car. You don't need any ID. There's no paperwork to fill out. Just drive in. Let us know how many families are in your car. We're going to load your car up, and then you pull right off. No questions asked. So 5315 Morganton Road from 11 to 1. I will say that when we did it for Thanksgiving, we had to start a little bit earlier, but we were done in 30 minutes. We've served over 250
Excellent.
People that quick. So if you need something, come on out.
Excellent. Well, look, enjoyed having you. Thank you so much, able producers there, Reverend Carl. You all have a great rest of your day. We're out of here.